Some of the world's leading nations have come together to provide South Africa with nearly 130 billion rand in funding for a transition from coal. The deal, which was struck by leaders at the COP26 summit in Glasgow, Scotland, could see South Africa receiving the funding in the next 3 to 5 years.
But developing nations being pushed to transition sooner than their first world counterparts has raised questions in some circles. Our business reporter Kopano Gumbi breaks it down for us.
The 26th Climate Change Conference is happening in Glasgow, Scotland, until the end of this week. And on the sidelines of this global sitting, the South African delegation managed to secure an impressive 130 billion rand in blended financing to fund the country's transition away from coal.
South Africa, like all other countries, has a need to move from where we are towards a modern renewable energy future. But we have so much coal, and we have so many coal-fired power stations and coal mines, that it's not something that's going to happen easily. It's going to cost a lot of money, and it will need a great deal of capital investment.
The debate about how quickly countries need to move away from heavy polluting fossil fuels is gaining momentum, and many of the world's largest nations have signed up to reduce carbon emissions by 2050. In South Africa, 70% of our power comes from coal, and a majority of Eskom's fleet consists of coal-fired plants. And so the transition away from this needs to be managed and planned accordingly to fall in line with the decommissioning of aging plants.
The program for moving from yesterday's technologies to tomorrow's technologies is the South African program that would move at a South African pace, I must say, because we can't decommission our coal-fired power plants if they're still in good order just to satisfy somebody else, because we'll be shooting ourselves in the foot.
The money will come in the form of a blended finance model, with grants and loans with favorable interest rates.
I don't think it's a loan or it's a gift as such. It's a financing facility at very favorable terms, far more favorable than it would be possible for any South African company or for the South African government to raise capital.
The company in question is, of course, Eskom, which is struggling with infrastructure that just cannot support the electricity demands of the growing economy. Critics have warned against the utility taking on more debt, given how heavily indebted it already is, but this may be the only way to upgrade and renew power stations.
Because Eskom has a very high level of debt and a highly burdened and constrained balance sheet, it is one of the things that made it so important to go out and raise affordable capital, because Eskom in its current state is not going to be able to do that. And you could raise that affordable capital if you're able to show a vision for the future. In my own view, I think that the laying on of new electricity capacity in this country will be done by Eskom, but also will be done by others. And I think we're entering a generation when Eskom will no longer be the sole provider of electricity in this country.
South Africa is not the only beneficiary of this new project funding. Indonesia, India, and the Philippines will all get a share of this money. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I am Kopano Gumbi in Johannesburg.